These are the Sunday recommendations for Patreon subscribers for January 6th, 2019. The blog post this week is on Brookgreen Gardens. It's the first of a series that include pictures I took in November 2018. The gardens were not at their best in November, but the sculpture, which is all representational works by American artists, was fabulous as always. Next up, Charles Mackay, a poem called No Enemies. This one came to mind while I was working on the Reynolds Affair talk, which, by the way, is sold out, but will be videotaped. Mackay, 1812 to 1889, was a Scottish poet and journalist. You have no enemies, you say. Alas, my friend, the boast is poor. He who has mingled in the fray of duty that the brave endure must have made foes. If you have none, small is the work that you have done. You've hit no traitor on the hip, you've dashed no cup from perjured lip, you've never turned the wrong to right, you've been a coward in the fight. Next up, Giuseppe Verdi's aria Dio che nell'alma infondere, can't speak Italian very well, 1867. One of my favorite discussions of literature is Leonard Peikoff's Great Plays course, which includes a lecture on Schiller's Don Carlos. As it happens, my first experience really understanding the basics of opera, how the music and lyrics and acting and sets work together, was listening to Sandra Schwartz talk about Don Carlo and then seeing it on video. This aria from Don Carlo, the link is in the Patreon post, is still one of my favorites in the operatic repertoire for the music and for the aspiration. The setup is King Philip of Spain has married the woman his son Carlo loved, and Carlo, with his friend the Marquis of Posa, resolves to go to Flanders to lead the revolution for liberty and against oppressive Spanish rule. The link I'm giving you is to a performance by a great tenor, Placido Domingo, and a great conductor, James Levine. Let's not do the baby bathwater bit. And it has an impressive set of the Metropolitan Opera's 1983 version. The video has subtitles, but try listening to it without reading them first, because the content is very religious. Peikoff's Great Plays course is also available in the original audio or as a book. And the links to that are in the Patreon post as well. Fourth recommendation, a movie called Emperor. The setting is Japan immediately after World War II, where one of MacArthur's subordinates, General Fellers, is told to determine within 10 days whether Emperor Hirohito should be prosecuted as a war criminal. It's not an easy task because the emperor was never in the public eye, and the country's leading military and political figures controlled the information that was released about him. While investigating the emperor, Fellers is also searching desperately for the Japanese woman he fell in love with some years earlier. That storyline helps illustrate the Japanese attitude toward foreigners leading up to the war. The movie is based on a true story, but it works very well as a mystery suspense story. Tommy Lee Jones plays MacArthur, and Matthew Fox is Fellers. Historical dramas aren't my usual choice for an evening's entertainment. Too often I know the ending or am revolted by Hollywood's skewed interpretation of history. In this movie, I felt as if I had John Lewis in my head all the way through, supplying details from his chapter in Nothing Less Than Victory that deals with Japan after World War II. Based on what I know from Lewis and minimal other readings on the Pacific theater of World War II, the details here are accurate. True, the severe American treatment of the Japanese would have made more sense if there had been mention of one or two of the massacres and atrocities that the Japanese committed, such as the rape of Nanking. But the Japanese are acknowledged to have done very bad things, and the movie's plot is, after all, not about what the Japanese did as a people, but whether Pearl Harbor and other attacks were ordered or sanctioned by the emperor. Getting back to the movie. From the beginning and through to the end of Emperor, I admired MacArthur and Fellers, and thought they behaved like rational men in a difficult situation. I wonder if the lukewarm reaction of the critics was due to the fact that the movie shows the American military in a positive light, or maybe to the fact that it was a very cerebral sort of movie, raising lots of ethical and political issues, but without any boom-bang action sequences. Watch it and let me know what you think. If you're not already a member of the free Sunday recommendations list, visit the URL on screen or email me. You can also support me starting at $5 a month or follow me for free on Patreon, which will get you art-related recommendations, upcoming art exhibition notices, and much more. And check out DianeDurantewriter.com for hundreds of posts on sculpture, poetry, Central Park, and my many other obsessions. Thank you as always for listening.